night, everybody.
Good night. Hi.
We're going to talk a little bit about Ecuador and the regions, food a little bit, the animals that you can find there, and also a little more deep into your region.
Yeah. So for everyone who doesn't know, he's from Ecuador, and I spent a lot of time there. That's how we met. So he's kind of more the expert on Ecuador, but there are certain regions of the country that I've been to that he hasn't been to. Yeah. So for those regions, I can provide a little bit more information. Yeah. But you can get started then.
Okay, so we get started.
So these are all pictures that we took ourselves. These aren't from the internet. So
yeah, you can see here a little bit about the volcanoes. Actually, Ecuador has a lot of volcanoes. Most of them are active. This is in Galapagos, and let's see, this is where we're going to start. Okay, let me see. Okay, well, Ecuador is known because it has like 4 regions. You know, like we have like 4 regions: the highlands. We have also the Amazon jungle and the coast, that are the beaches, and the insular region, that is Galapagos. So because of that, it's like a very diverse country and has a lot of like different types of animals and different types of cultures too. Okay. This is like a little map of Ecuador. Actually, it's very small country, but it has a lot of diversity. We can see here, here in this part is like the Amazon jungle, all this part here. Also is located in the equatorial line, because of that it's Ecuador. And the capital is here, Quito, where I am from. There is where the equatorial line passed through. And there's also here you can find the coast to this side, the left side, and Galapagos at the top. Okay, the highlands. I'm going to start with this one. It's like the capital city actually is the second highest elevation city in the world. Is located at 2,800 meters above the sea level.
You can definitely feel it when you go there. Sometimes like you feel like a little sick or lightheaded, you know?
Yeah. Actually, even like teams from soccer teams and from the coast, they usually go like 1 week before their game to Quito to adapt so they don't faint or anything when they are playing soccer in Quito. Yeah. There's like the temperature is around 25, 10 degrees, sometimes a little lower, sometimes a little higher. And the nights is actually kind of cold. I will say like very similar to how it is now here. The population 2,600,000 around. Then the capital Quito is suppose the center of the world. This is one of the pictures with the Cotopaxi volcano. We have like actually around the city like 4 volcanoes that have like snow that you can see: the Cotopaxi, Cayambe, Ilinizas, and Chimborazo. That actually the Chimborazo was considered the tallest mountain in the world before the Everest was found. There are more than 50 volcanoes around the city and more than 100 waterfalls too. This one is kind of like the emblem from the country. Is like the condor. That is the biggest flying bird in the world. It's pretty big actually. You can see it's
Massive.
like has a relationship with that person, so it's pretty big. It lives like in the highlands and very high elevation, and it only eats. Most of his diet is only about rotten meat, and it's a scavenger. Yeah. This is the Cotopaxi volcano. It's one of the recently was pretty active, and actually we wanted to go one time, but because it was too active, the national reserve was closed. But now you can go to the lake, camping, or with a tour guide, you can go to the top.
And it's really cool. You can't see it usually because it's so high up. It's usually covered with clouds. But every now and again, you get a clear day and you can see it, and it's really cool. Sort of like reminds me almost of like Mount Fuji, the way it looks from that distance, you know.
Yeah. So. It's really good. Yeah, it's very nice. This is another volcano that's there you can see where we are. Like we went to the Quilotoa. It's like a volcano that is full of water, and actually you can go down until the water is turquoise because of the minerals, and actually you can rent a kayak for $3 and do kayaking around the crater. It's pretty nice.
That's cool.
Actually. Then this is one of the controversial foods. Someone can realize.
Does anybody know what it is?
Yeah.
Take a guess.
Can guess what a type of animal is?
Like the guinea pig?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's called cuy, and it's a guinea pig. Usually the Inca people that were like the Aborigine people from the Andes, they usually eat cuy. Actually, they used to even live with them. You know, in the house, they have them like all around, and then when they wanted to eat, yeah.
Supposedly they still, one of the tribes I stay with in the Amazon, they were saying that they still have these guinea pigs sometimes as like a household pet that they'll eventually eat, and that there's a little bit of a superstition around it that these animals, they can sense if you're a good person or a bad person. So if someone comes in the house and the guinea pig doesn't like that person, they take that very seriously. So yeah.
Yeah, it's very great too. This is like the subtropical forest that is one of my favorite because it's just between the Amazon jungle and the highlands. You have like lots of waterfalls. Actually, this is the picture that we took at the Blue Waterfall, and you can go swim there, and it's pretty nice, the water and the weather. And here is the coast of Ecuador. Then here is pretty warm all the time, kind of similar to Thailand. 31 degrees and 25 the lowest. We have like I think the biggest production of cacao in the world. So actually all the cacao that Switzerland and Europe does the chocolate is from Ecuador, most of it. And still you have like banana too production and a lot of volcanoes too, actually very close to it. You can see humpback whales and different other animals too from the coast. Like this one, this is like a humpback whale watching is something like a big deal that everyone sometimes goes to watch them when they are like crossing with the babies to the warmer water.
Did you take that picture as well?
No, this one.
Unfortunately, no. This is the one that's on the internet.
Yeah, this one too, the whales.
Yeah, we went whale watching, but we didn't get any photos that great. You get like a little bit of a tail sometimes.
Yes.
It's pretty hard sometimes to get lucky. Then this is kind of like one of the typical dishes from Ecuador. It's called ceviche. Actually, the most famous is from Peru, but it's different than the Ecuadorian a little bit. It's more dry, and the Ecuadorian is more like a soup. Usually, the most common is the shrimp ceviche, that is like made with lemon, onions, tomato, a little bit of like orange juice and ketchup and mustard. It's very good actually. Usually it's the hangover thing.
There's a rivalry a little bit between Peru and Ecuador, like who has better ceviche.
Yeah.
I think the shrimp ceviche from Ecuador is better, but I think that the fish ceviche from Peru is better.
Yeah, very good the same way. Then here is in the Amazon jungle. The Amazon jungle is most populated from tribes actually. There are like a lot of tribes there, and it's very hot. It's actually until like 45 degrees Celsius, and the lowest sometimes is 15. It's like a tropical rainforest, and there are a lot of numerous tribes, like all these names: Yoma, Secoya, Cofan, Guarani, and they have like different language. Actually, the Spanish is their second language. Adeline is going to talk to you a little more about that experience that she had with them.
Are you one of the tribe?
No, actually, in Ecuador and Latin America, it was like conquered by European, especially Spanish people and Italian and everything. So most of the country, I would say now, is more like a mixture, and there are a few tribes still there. Yeah.
When I was in Ecuador a few years ago, I was studying primates for my master's thesis. So I was actually staying with some of the tribes. I stayed with the Sequoia tribe, the Guarani tribe, and Shuar tribe for a little bit. And it was kind of difficult to speak to them because Spanish was their second language, and it was also my second language. It wasn't as good as it is now, so it was a lot of like hand motions trying to figure out what they were saying and stuff. But we still had a really good time. Some of them knew a little bit of English, but Yeah, they have their own special language. The Guarani's language is called Wow, and so
Wow.
I learned like a few words in that, but I can't recall them now. And I got some really weird foods when I was there too, because in the Amazon they have they still hunt some of their food. So I actually tried a armadillo, and I had no idea what I was eating. I had the soup, and there's this big chunk of meat in it, and they're like, "Guess what this is?" And I was like, first I thought they were gonna tell me it was a monkey, and I was like, I can't be eating monkeys. I'm here to research them, you know. And they said, no, it's an armadillo. It wasn't bad. It was pretty good actually. So yeah. Oh yeah. So this is a tapir. This is one of the animals you can find in the jungle, in the Amazon. The babies have kind of this stripe pattern, so that's supposed to help them be more camouflaged when they're young, and they lose that as they get older. And they do have these snouts they kind of use to dig around to find food, but they're not actually related to anteaters. They're more related to pigs. You can tell by their feet. They kind of have more hoofs, like a pig would. And then monkeys, there's tons of different monkeys. I was studying pygmy marmoset, so that'll be on the next slide. But these are some of the more common ones. You have down here the squirrel monkey, capuchins, which are really very intelligent, one of the most intelligent ones. The spider monkey up there, which is also another highly intelligent one, and then the woolly monkeys, and you see these everywhere. They're super common. Oh, and this is another dish that they like to eat in Amazon. It's called chontokuro, and it's a palm weevil. So it's like this this insect that lays these eggs and have these larvae that grow in these palm trees, and they will just take these, put them on skewers, grill them up, and eat them. And they're interesting. They're not quite my favorite, but they have a good taste. Just the texture for me was a little weird.
And they sometimes even eat them like the people from the tribes. They eat them raw.
Wow.
Yeah,
Did you try?
I could do that. Yeah. So yeah, you'll see these a lot, and not just in the Amazon. Also in some of the cities kind of surrounding the Amazon. There's a city called Coca, and they have these there too. So. And then these were the pygmy marmosets that I was studying. So they're very, very small monkeys. They're actually the world's smallest true monkey. And these are pictures I actually took when I was out there.
Wow.
And can anybody guess what you think they eat?
Fruits.
Bananas.
Yeah, bananas, definitely.
Bugs.
So they're kind of opportunistic. So they'll sometimes eat some bugs, sometimes eat some fruit, but that's not their main diet. Their main diet is actually sap from trees. So they have like these little like tiny incisors that they'll use to drill small holes in the sides of trees, and then they just sort of wait, and then the sap comes out of the holes, and then they'll go back to the holes later in the day and eat the sap that comes out. So it's called like a gumnivore, is what they call that, tree gum. And it's really cool too, the way that they harvest this sap is they do them in lines, like up and down the tree, like crops, like very organized. So if you're looking for these in the jungle, they're very hard to find because of how small they are, and they don't really make any noises. But if you find a tree that has these holes and going up in straight lines, that is their feeding tree, and if you wait there long enough, you'll probably see them. So that was basically how I was finding them. Another close-up of it.
Oh my God.
So cute, right? Yeah, so smallest monkey, about 10 to 17 centimeters long. These are if you can see this, it's kind of hard to see, but there's the holes there that I was telling you about.
Yeah,
You can see they're kind of going in straight lines. Yeah. And this is kind of the region that they're found in. So they're found not just in Ecuador, but also Peru, Colombia, Brazil, parts of Bolivia. But their population is declining. Part of the reason it's declining is actually because of the exotic pet trade. Because they're so cute, people want them as pets. So, but when you take them out of the Amazon or out of the jungle, they are taking out this genetic diversity that they each have, and so their genetic diversity is also falling, and that's a huge indicator of how healthy a species is. So if they have really low genetic diversity, it's not good. So that's what I was basically studying when I was out there, as I was getting samples from them, trying to figure out what the genetic variation that's left in their population is, to sort of give them a little bit of a health scan of the population. So this was me, and basically you find these trees, you put this net around the trees, and then you collect their poop. And you can then extract DNA from the poop when you go back to the lab, and then you can kind of see how the genetic diversity is that each individual has and the population. So yeah, these are mesh nets. If you didn't have nets, you could also put these leaves at the bottom of the trees as well. And from like 7 to 5 p.m. you have to be out there. So it was long days. But, yeah, and then these were the regions that I went to. The San Pablo population, Tibutini, and Flor del Pantano. And this is kind of like a picture of where I was staying at the bottom. It was with the Sequoia tribe. And this is in Tibutini. And that's me, like up to my waist in water that I was having to hike through to get to my monkeys. And then this is the last area, the Flor del Pantano area. And this is another type of monkey over here. It's called a tamarin. And they're actually competitors with pygmy marmosets, but they're a little bit bigger. So they will usually chase pygmy marmosets away. The pygmy marmosets will be the ones that make the holes in the trees for the tree sap, and these guys will steal it from them. So this population was a much more stressed out population than the other ones, because the other ones, like, they could just feed their tree sap, no problem, and here they were always getting in fights with these other monkeys. And then these are some of the people from the town that I was staying with, and yeah, I think the benefits of my experience, like conservation of course, but also I learned a lot of Spanish and a lot about their culture too. So that was kind of unexpected benefits. All right. And then yeah, Galapagos, that's the last region of Ecuador that's kind of famous by Charles Darwin. And I went there the year after my research to teach a course to some high school students. And it was about tropical biodiversity and stuff like that. So I actually got to kind of experience the Galapagos without having to pay any money, which was really nice because it's very expensive. But it's much warmer, also has great biodiversity, and because the population, there's not a lot of people who live there, the animals are very chill. Like you can walk right up to them. They don't have fear. They don't have predators, most of them, so they just haven't evolved that fear response. So it's really cool. And this is one of the more famous animals you can find. It's called the blue-footed booby. And depending on how recently it's fed, that will determine how bright blue its feet are. So if it has like really light colored blue, it's really hungry. And if it has really bright blue, then it means it's just eaten. And that's kind of how the females choose the males. They choose the males with the brightest blue because like, oh, you know how to get food. Good. It's all about food, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. And then this is the marine iguana. This is another species that you'll find a lot in the Galapagos. And, you know, it can get really, I'm not zoomed in this photo. I was just like right up in its face, and they're very calm. And these ones, they mostly feed on algae in the water, so they'll actually go swimming, go deep diving, and be eating food and come back up and stuff. So it's really cool. You'll see these everywhere on the rocks and in the beaches. So, and then the giant tortoise. This is another one that you can find in the Galapagos that's endemic to the area. These ones get so big. Like some of the really older ones were like as big as this pallet right here.
Really?
Like a small car or something. So those were really neat. And then sea turtles, that was a really cool experience too. When you go snorkeling in the Galapagos, you can see all these sea turtles and you can actually get right up near them. Same with the sea lions. They'll even like come up to you and try and like play with you in the water and try and do somersaults and stuff. So that was really a fun thing to be able to do. And that's sea lions. Yeah, so questions. It's a little bit longer, sorry.
It's alright, it's good.
Yeah.
Perfect. How do you feel when it's like in that city you felt the height, and which means like you have difficulty to breathe in the high city of 2000 meter?
In Quito.
In Quito, actually, well, we feel this last time that we came back, I felt it for the first time in my life, and it feels like kind of like you feel like a heavy stuff like around your chest a little bit, and you know, if you run or you go up the stairs a little fast, you feel very, very tired. You know, like going up to the rooms there, you feel like
Yeah.
you need air. You
Oh.
know? it's a very
It's like a
funny.
hangover.
Yeah.
It's like you're doing everything with a hangover.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. And how long did you stay there? Like,
So for my research was 3 months, and then the next year I went back another 3 months to teach the course, and then I was there the next year for 1 month just visiting him, and then this past year we were there for 1 month, yeah.
oh,
And then we went kind of south through Peru into Chile. So, yeah.
and you teach like university students about
Yeah.
And
So
high
I
school
taught
too?
university courses. I taught high school courses.
Yeah.
Mostly just kind of like anything biology related. So this summer I'll be teaching a sea turtles course in Costa Rica actually.
Yeah.
But that will be with high school students. So,
Oh,
yeah.
great job.
Yeah.
Like you travel and
Yeah,
do
yeah.
some research and teach.
It's fun.
It's fun.
Yeah.
Super.
Any other questions?
Want to know about the flag?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
What is
Yeah.
that like?
Well, the flag is supposed to represents like the yellow, the sun that we have a lot like a lot of the sun and the gold because it used to be like a very and there's a lot of gold too in Ecuador and there was like a lot of mining with the gold. The blue is like the water, we have like a lot of waterfalls, rivers, and the ocean. And the red is a little tricky, but it's supposedly like the blood of the heroes that they left in the battlefields in the past wars. And yeah, here you have like kind of this one is a Cotopaxi volcano. This is a river, of course. They are not in the same place, but they are putting together in the shield. This is a river in the coast of Ecuador. And here you have the condor. That is the bird that was before. And yeah, that's kind of like the most important, like the peace symbol. And I forgot how it's in English. Yeah.
Do you think it's the most difficult flag to draw in the world?
Yes.
Yes.
I tried to draw that once because I have this little travel journal that I like to draw the flags of the countries I've been, and this one took me forever. And it was terrible.
It's a little hard.
You tell us some Ecuadorian Spanish phrases that are very special for Ecuador that people know this is from Ecuador.
This is from Ecuador. Probably.
Chicha?
Chucha.
There's a lot of
No,
people.
that's like a swear word. Kind of.
Like very Ecuadorian phrases, you could say the people actually in Quito, in my city, especially young people, put the F at the end of like some word, like hola is hi or hello, and the people say hola.
Hola.
Or so like, ¿cómo estás? Stuff like with the F at the end of the word. I'm not sure why, but it's like a trendy thing. And there's a little bit too like of using some words in English. Usually you'd say like to men and women if you don't know the name or something, you say like ese man or esa man, that it means like man like like yeah, but it's like someone that you don't know the name. Yeah.
Alright.
Yeah.
And like de uno.
Oh
De
yeah.
uno is like if someone says something and you agree, you say de uno.
Yeah.
Una
Yeah.
from one.
Of one, yeah. Like
Yeah.
we're of one, I guess. I don't know.
They will know dale.
Valid, yeah. The same. De uno, valid.
And how'd you guys meet at the beginning?
So actually, when I was doing my research, I had a week off, and I was very happy for a week off because it's it's not great living conditions in the Amazon. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna go like relax somewhere. So I went to the coast because the coast is really nice and there's beaches and stuff. And I went to the coast. He was vacationing with his friends there at the same time. So we bumped into each other actually in this place known as the Cave.
Yeah.
It's actually it's like this nightclub.
Cave nightclub.
It's called the Cave. And so
Wow.
we went there and we bumped into each other and just started talking and we spent the rest of that weekend together and we stayed in touch. When I went back home, when I came back to Ecuador the next year to teach the course, then it was like, oh, I'm back. Like I'm gonna get a hold of Eduardo. And then it just started. Yeah.
And we eventually figure out like, okay, we cannot keep doing this. We need to figure out where to go. China was the first opportunity to find.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. I don't know. Any question? Do you know what it is? No.
It's the flag of Ecuador.
Okay, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, is there a lot of tourists? Like a lot of people traveling there? Is it?
Yeah, well, there's a lot of tourism, but I would say that most of the tourism is like, or in Quito, in the capital, mostly in the historical part, that is kind of like the European buildings and stuff. Galapagos has a lot of tourism, actually,
Yeah.
a lot.
But not so much. They actually have rules of how many people are allowed to go to Galapagos every year to try and help prevent, problems occurring from the tourists and the animals and stuff like that.
Can you move around freely on the island, or do you all have to have a guide or something like that?
No, you don't need a guide. You can move around pretty freely, but there's not all the islands are inhabited by people. So there are some islands that are still completely like nothing there.
Okay.
So those places you can go walk around, but you can like sleep there or something.
Alright.
Yeah, I think even for Ecuadorian people that is from mainland, we are allowed only to stay in Galapagos for, if I'm not wrong, I think it's 6 months. And for tourists, they can only stay 1 month, even though if they have like a visa for Ecuador for 3 months, they cannot stay more than 1 month in Galapagos.
No Starbucks or McDonald's.
I don't know that. I don't remember seeing any of that. Yeah.
No, yeah, so, yeah, it's the Galapagos. Cuenca is another city that is pretty, actually was famous because it was like supposedly like a few years ago, the best city for retire in the world. So a lot of old people from Europe and from the States, I have seen that they started to live there. It's very chill and it's very small that you can walk almost everywhere. So I think that's one of the coolest things, Just spread too, but the main part where you can find everything, parks and theaters or stuff like that, is in the same place. It's very colonial and very nice too. It's called like the city of the Four Rivers because it's got 4 rivers crossing.
Oh.
So it's pretty nice, yeah.
And what would you say if I ask you like what's the most distinctive characteristic of the Ecuadorian people compared to other?
Well, I would say like it's very weird because like Ecuador used to be, you can see so many different aspects in people from the regions and actually sometimes even from different provinces, because in the past it was so hard to get to the Amazon jungle or something because the highways through the mountains were too hard to do. So sometimes, like my grandma, I think she only went to the beach one time in her whole life. And the people from the coast, they even have that different dialects, and the people from the highlands different. I would say from Ecuadorian, the people I would say that is very friendly. Yeah, I think that is very friendly and always is going to treat you like a friend that is from all your life or something like that, especially in the first moments. Yeah, that would be kind of one of the characteristics, I would say. Yeah.
You agree?
I would agree, yeah. It's weird for me because when I would go to Ecuador and I'd meet his friends, they would be like, Angeline, like, I just met you, okay, cool. Like, they're very friendly, yeah.
That's cool. Any question? People.
Could you act out if you were holding one of those monkeys as to what size they actually are?
So their bodies are about this size, and then their tails are the same. So if you include their tails, then they're like that size if you stretch out their tail, but their bodies are about that size. They're like the size of a rat, maybe.
Big rat.
A big rat, yeah. But no, they're very small. They kind of they can easily hold it in the palm of your hand. Because when they sit, they sort of scrunch up and they kind of go on their back legs a little bit. So that'd be,
Oh, that's cool.
and it's also really cool. You can tell kind of like the age of them based off of, I don't know, how do I go back? Do you know how to go back?
That's a good question.
Okay, well, let me run over here. And,
No, it's moving.
Figure out, yeah.
oh. So, we already passed it. Oh, okay, yeah. Go to the next.
Next.
Okay, yeah, so you can kind of see in this picture over here, they have this sort of white, like little mustache thing. And that actually develops more as they get older. So you can tell their age sometimes based off of if they have that mustache. And they also have another white marking here on their nose that also develops as they get older. So you can tell if it's like, the babies don't have like any of those markings. And then when they become juvenile, then they start to get a little bit of that mustache. And then as they get older, they get that white marking here too. So it's really...
Hello. Any question? We're about to finish. Last question. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, 30 minutes.
Cool.
Sweet. Thank you very much. Last statement.
Ecuador's great.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Sweet.